And we are live. Hello everyone, Niamh here from Niamh Nutrition. I just want to say thanks for taking an hour out of your day to watch my webinar. You can ask any questions at the side, but you need to be logged into YouTube, which you can do just through your Gmail account. It's the same password. If you have any questions, I'll answer them all at the end of the webinar, if that's okay. And if we get cut off at the email I sent you, I provided a second login. I've never used YouTube Live before. It's a really new program, so I was just worried that maybe there might be a bit of a glitch. So if we do get cut off, you can go into the second link that I've sent you. So the other thing is that if the slides aren't great quality, there's an option on the right-hand corner of your screen, if you're on your laptop, to improve the quality through settings. It will upload onto YouTube much better quality, and there will be an HD option. So if the slides are bad quality and you're not enjoying the live broadcast, you can just wait for the recording, and that'll come up on YouTube straight away after the live broadcast. So I'll be sharing that tomorrow as well, sending it out in a link. So I think I'll just start now and I'll share my slides with you. So hopefully you can see those slides now. So basically, I better introduce myself. That's my logo, Niamh Nutrition. I'm a nutritional therapist from Galway, and I work with a lot of females with hormonal issues and kind of different problems like PMS, endometriosis, PCOS, gut issues, and weight loss resistance. And a lot of people that I have been talking to, they would have problems with hormonal imbalance and gut problems. And I just wanted to explain to you through a webinar how these are both linked. Personally, I work one-to-one with clients. I do workshops, and this is now my first online webinar, and I also do online programs. So I studied nutritional therapy with College IHS, which is the Institute of Health Sciences in Dublin. And I really was fascinated by the whole area of gut health. I thought that was the most interesting. And more than 2,000 years ago, Hippocrates would have said that all disease begins in the gut. And a healthy gut can literally determine whether you're depressed, happy, healthy, or sick. And we're going to talk today how it can determine whether you're slim or overweight as well. So one of the things that the gut has a huge link with is the immune system. And in fact, 80% of the immune system is in your gut. And that part communicates with the other 20% that causes most of the problems. So I'm not sure if you can see these slides okay, but I'll just read them for you anyway. So the gut bacteria is saying to the immune system, he's going, hey guys, we have a situation here, we have an incoming virus, and the other immune system is responding by saying, who do I need to send in? So there's a balance between your immune system and your gut bacteria, and they really help you respond to things like viruses and colds, and also they help you not respond to things they shouldn't, like self-tissues in the body. So in that way, that gut bacteria really help to regulate your immune system. Now, so you can see here in this slide here that we have the good guys, they're the yellow guys, and the bad guys, which are the purple guys. So the yellow guys say, I have to detox the body and I support the metabolism, where the bad guys cause weight gain and disrupt hormonal imbalance. And I'm going to be going through this in depth, and this is what all the webinar is all about. So from birth, this is really important because we really develop our gut bacteria from the age, like when we're first born, from the age of 2. So this slide now, the most important part about this slide is the bottom part. So you can see it shows the colonization of the gut mucosa. And really by about the age of 2 or 3, you have developed the same gut bacteria that you're going to have for life. So your gut bacteria literally populate your gut at the beginning, the first couple of years of your life. And then after that, any good bacteria put into your system just passes through, because that flora that you get as a young child stays with you for your whole life. So where do we get our bacteria from? Well, you saw that slide on breastfeeding, and kids also get their bacteria from their environment. They get it from animals, they get it from soil, they get it from the people that they live with, and that's how they develop their bacteria levels as well as breastfeeding. And another great way to get some good bacteria levels into you is by organic fruit and vegetables. So the leaves on organic fruit and vegetables are like carrots. The skin of them would contain microbes and beneficial microbes. And actually, in fact, soil organisms now are being used and marketed in the US, and they're very, very expensive, and they're linked to a boost in your mood and also weight loss as well. So you can get them like very cheaply if you buy your organic fruit and veg, and try and have like a good lot of them raw. And like if you're having your carrots, don't bother peeling them, have them with the skin on, and you can snack on them, and you're going to be getting your like healthy bacteria levels up. So where else would we get good bacteria? Well, in traditional cultures, they would have had their own forms of fermented foods or probiotic-rich foods. And we can see, like in Germany, they would have sauerkraut. Japan has kimchi and miso. Asia has a lot of fermented soy products. Eastern Europe has kefir. And Ireland, we used to have our raw dairy. And raw dairy has now come back on the market, and now it's legal to sell raw dairy again. And it only came back in, I think, 2016. And I know in Galway you can get it in Sheridan's or McCambridge's. So I think that's great, because basically the bacteria that's in milk actually helps you to digest dairy. And a lot of people now have dairy issues because they don't have the gut bacteria to digest it, and then it becomes more problematic. And if you think about it as well, so many people now have intolerances to dairy. And even like back in the day, like people used raw buttermilk, and the raw buttermilk would have been used to make soda bread. And now like people are intolerant to wheat as well, so they're intolerant to wheat and dairy. And could it be that, are they really intolerant to these foods, or it's just that they don't have the bacteria anymore that helps them to digest them? Okay, so the problem with today's world is that everything is sprayed with pesticides. So that kills any of the good bugs that might be on the skins or the leaves of the fruit and vegetable. Like, you know, even like fresh baby spinach leaves would have a lot of good bacteria on the leaves. They'd be really good for our gut. And the gut, or the soil, is literally dead. So we have that pesticide glyphosate. And at the moment, they're thinking about banning it in the EU, and because it's linked to concerns that it might cause cancer and linked to different things like autism and different things like that. So a lot of our food is sprayed with glyphosate, and when we eat something that's sprayed in chemicals that's basically used to kill off microbes and insects, well, that's going to damage our own gut bacteria as well. And at the moment now, well, we don't get the weather anyway in Ireland, but kids don't play outside as much as they used to. There's more kind of like stranger danger, and they play more computer games and things like that, and do more kind of indoor sports. So they're not getting outside in the muck as much as they used to. Houses are kept very clean. Especially, I would notice that like new mums, because they'd be so nervous with their firstborn, that they sterilise everything. And basically, kids put everything in their mouth, and the reason why they do that is because they're trying to train their immune system and get some bacteria in there from their environment. So it is good to keep the place clean, but you don't need to sterilise everything. Definitely after using raw meat, or if you found that somebody had a bad flu in the house, then you could sterilise more, but you don't really need to do it on a day-to-day basis, like disinfecting floors and different things like that. So recently there's a lot of increase in C-section births, and when the baby is born, like they will be inoculated with the mum's secretions from her vagina, and that helps prime the immune system. So what's actually getting popular now is called a vaginal implant, where if you get a C-section, that the mom can give a swab from her vagina into the mouth of the baby, and that's really good for the immune system. I know it doesn't sound very nice, but it's actually a very natural thing for the baby. I mentioned as well that the dairy is pasteurized. We would have got a lot of good bacteria from that. And thankfully, breastfeeding is really coming back into fashion. I was an 80s baby, and back then, like, very few people were breastfed because it was more popular to be bottle fed back then. Okay, so faulty flora and weight gain. So this was a study done where a slim mouse was transplanted with the gut bacteria of an obese mouse, and without changing anything in its environment, it got the same amount of food and everything, it gained weight and became obese. And they've done studies where they've used overweight people's gut bacteria and transplanted it into mice, and the same thing happened. So what did the study say? A study carried out in Cornwall University by Dr. I don't even know how to pronounce that, demonstrated that the scientists could increase the body weight of mice by over 15% just by shifting their intestinal bacteria. So with no other change in diet or environment, that's important to understand. Now, how much would this translate into human studies? Because you might think 15% is not a lot, but if we translate it into a woman who weighed 130 pounds, which is 9.5 stone, that would equate to an average increase of about 20 pounds, which is nearly 1.5 stone, which is a lot, you know, if you think about it that way. And have there actually been any human studies? Well, probably the best known of these is where a woman received a fecal implant from her overweight daughter, and she gained 36 pounds in the following months. So you might be wondering why in the world somebody would get a fecal implant. Well, basically, the woman in question had a C. difficile infection. So a C. difficile infection is a bacterial infection in the gut that is very resistant to antibiotic treatment, and it can actually be fatal as well. So they found that actually you can treat it really well by using a fecal transplant. So she got one from her daughter, and she was a slim woman, and she didn't change anything with her diet. She just got the transplant and gut bacteria. It actually saved her life, and the C. difficile was gone, but she put on loads of weight afterwards, 36 pounds. And she actually fell into the obese category after that. Now, so we're just going to go through the 9 ways our gut flora can affect our weight and our hormones, and why the mice gained weight, and why that woman would have gained weight from that fecal implant. So first of all, if you weren't breastfed, the World Health Organization is now recommending breastfeeding as a way to help reduce the risk of childhood obesity. And it makes sense. And as I said, anyone who wasn't breastfed, like myself, we would have got our gut flora from the environment. So if you had animals or different things in the house, they've shown actually that animals are brilliant for your immune system, for kids and stuff, to prime their immune system. And you get it from your siblings, your parents, your environment, and your food. So it's just another reason as well that you shouldn't really over-sterilize the house, especially if you've young kids, because it's going to be a way to prime their immune system. Now, the second way is antibiotic use. So I suppose, first of all, if you're not breastfed, you are going to be more at risk of infections. And they've seen this as well in animals, that animals that are taken away from their mothers at a younger age have more risk of increased infections. So what they found is that antibiotics promote weight gain in livestock, and this was discovered in the 1940s, and they still use this over in the States. So they use prophylactic antibiotic use to promote weight gain in animals and in chickens and different things like that, but they're not allowed to do that in Ireland. So how could you avoid, I suppose, weight gain from antibiotic use? And the best way is really to boost your immunity with things like probiotics, fermented foods. Kefir is amazing for boosting your immune system, and also taking vitamin D. That's really going to help your immune system, and it helps fight against viruses as well. Yeah, looking after immunity is really, really important when it comes to avoiding an infection that might need antibiotics. And interestingly, in the studies, where they were wondering, like, does this transfer into human studies? There was preliminary studies on kind of like guys that worked in the army and stuff over in the US, and they did feel like, yes, they did put on weight. But what they noticed, what I thought was interesting in animal studies, was that when they were testing the animals with the antibiotics to see if they put on weight, that, so they were giving them antibiotics and a junk food diet to see versus like just junk food diet, and the animals with the antibiotics and junk food diet always put on more weight, but the females put on much more weight than the males. So that's interesting. So that might just indicate that actually antibiotic use in females would cause weight gain more so than in males. I just thought that was interesting to include. And they haven't tested this theory on humans, but a lot of what happens in mammals will transfer over into human studies as well. So number 3, this is a very interesting one. This is your Firmicutes versus your Bacteroidetes. So these are families of bacteria that live in your colon. So they say if you want to stay firmicute, then lower your Firmicutes. So they're the ones, they sound like they're good, but they're actually the ones that cause the problems. And what scientists have found is that when a shift occurs in these families of bacteria, it was a predetermining factor for obesity. So higher levels of Firmicutes and lower level of bactericides promoted weight gain. And they tested a lot of people who were obese and compared their bacteria levels to people who were slim. And the people who were obese always had the higher levels of the Firmicutes. And the reason these bacteria can affect our weight gain is because they regulate how much fat or energy we absorb or draw from our food, if that makes sense. So I suppose a good way to explain that is that imagine if you had 2 identical twins eating exactly 2,000 calories in the day, but both of them have different ratios of the Bacteroidetes and the Firmicutes. Well, the one with the higher level of Firmicutes will absorb more calories and energy from their food than the other person, and therefore they would gain more weight. So how can I feed the right type of bacteria? You want to be feeding the Bacteroidetes. So basically fiber from fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans, peas and lentils, and like whole grains as well. Not things like bran flakes that will be processed. They feed the Bacteroidetes. And then things like sugar, refined carbs, and processed foods feed the Firmicutes. And there was a study done as well where a guy ate McDonald's, or it mightn't have been McDonald's, it was definitely just fast food for a week. And just in 1 week, he was able to massively shift those bacterial families and increase his Firmicute levels. So that's the kind of food that would increase the Firmicutes, kind of like junk food kind of diet. And I know that kind of seems probably obvious. Well, if you eat, fruit and vegetables and things, rather than sugar and junk food, of course you're going to lose weight. But what happens is that you develop these colonies of bacteria, and then when you go to change your diet, it's much harder to lose weight because you have these residential flora that are predisposing you to weight gain. So it would take much longer for you to lose weight if you had that shift in bacteria. So what happens then is people, they go dieting and they try to eat healthy and it doesn't work and they give up. But you need to pursue with the diet if that's what's after happening, because eventually, and this they showed in the mice studies as well, eventually it does come off and rebalances itself. Now, number 4 will be poor estrogen elimination. The liver detoxifies excess estrogen through the gut. So gut motility is really important. So you want to make sure that you're not constipated. That's very important, and that you're having at least 1 movement. Between 1 to 3 movements is healthy as long as it's not a very loose movement, but you want to make sure that you're passing a good weight in your stool. So even if it's 1, as long as you have a good weight to it, and that means you're getting rid of like a lot of toxins. And one thing that can improve gut motility, or how your gut moves, is optimizing your gut flora levels and making sure that you're not constipated. So it's really important that estrogen is removed safely, and the gut bacteria help us to do this because they bind to them, they bind to old hormones, and they bind to toxins as well, and that makes sure that we can't reabsorb them into our system. So scientists have identified a certain set of bacteria responsible for metabolizing estrogen, and they are known as the estrobolome. And basically, an imbalance among these bacteria can create a host of different hormonal issues. So those guys are really, really important. I suppose when it comes to weight gain, this is important because estrogen promotes hormonal issues and weight gain, especially around the hips, waist, and thighs. So this would be just a little image of kind of what kind of hormonal weight gain would look like. So you can see that the lady on the left has quite a lot of weight around her hips. She's carrying it around her thighs and around her belly. That would be like hormonal weight gain. Maybe somebody mightn't be detoxing their estrogen very well. Other problems that can occur with estrogen. So estrogen prevents you from building muscle. So testosterone is the male hormone that usually helps you to build muscle. And females actually have a little bit of testosterone, and that helps us maintain muscle tone. So that's important for us as well. But if our estrogen levels are too high, that overrides it. And you can see it in men as well. Men with higher estrogen levels find it very hard to increase muscle mass. And because muscle mass is a really strong predetermining factor for your metabolism, because the more muscle mass you have, the higher BMR you have, which is your basal metabolic rate. If you have a lower muscle in your body, then basically it's easier to put on weight. So it interferes with trying to build lean muscle mass. And for anyone who doesn't know what your BMR is, it's basically how much calories your body burns at when it's resting. So if there's two people sitting on the couch relaxing and one had more muscle, even though neither of them were doing anything, the person with no more muscle will be burning more calories at rest. So that's what your BMR means. Now, higher levels of estrogen metabolites in the blood are associated with increased risk of breast cancer, and that's what they found in the bloods of people who have breast cancer, because really the estrogen metabolites should go through the liver and into the gut, and they shouldn't really be hanging around the bloodstream at all. And what they've shown is studies of women consuming fermented milk drinks have been shown to reduce the risk of breast cancer. So basically, that's because they're helping their gut and they'll be more efficiently eliminating that estrogen. Okay, right. So this one is kind of a complicated one. Beta-glucuronidase. So basically, beta-glucuronidase promotes estrogen recycling. So it promotes your body to reabsorb those estrogen metabolites. But basically, your intestinal microflora, they break down the beta-glucuronidase. So that helps prevent estrogen recycling. We don't want that to happen. But things like antibiotics and the contraceptive pill can decrease our microflora, and therefore they can increase the action of the beta-glucuronidase. And the problem with this is that the research correlates elevated levels of this beta-glucuronidase with increased risk of basically hormone-sensitive cancers like colon cancer, prostate cancer, and breast cancer. And there's a substance that's known as glucoric acid, and that helps reduce the beta-glucuronidase. And that can be found in many fruit and vegetables. So the fruit and vegetables that contain the highest amounts will be things like oranges, apples, grapefruit, and cruciferous vegetables. So the cruciferous vegetables are so important when it comes to balancing hormones, because they actually stimulate the liver to detox any excess or toxic estrogen, and it actually preserves the protective estrogens. So they would contain substances called indole tricarbanols, and they're the ones that help protect the body against cancer. So cruciferous vegetables include broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. And they're the ones you want to load up on if you're having any hormonal problems. And not in their raw form if you have any thyroid issues. Just lightly steamed is the best way to consume these vegetables. Is there anything else about beta-glucuronidase I wanted to tell you about? Yeah, basically you want to optimize your gut flora levels and get plenty of fruit and veg into you, and especially the cruciferous vegetables. And what you like, especially if you've had antibiotic use or anything, it's so important to repopulate your gut. Like, you should be doing it on a continual basis. And you know, we like back in the day, we would have been getting our raw milk daily, and that would have been a way to repopulate the gut. Okay, so 6, beneficial flora helps to lower inflammation. So where does that play a role with weight loss? So gut bacteria has strong connections with your immune system. And heavy levels help to dampen down the inflammatory response. So as I showed in the first slide, that actually the gut bacteria directly communicate with the immune system in our gut, and the 80% that's in our gut. So excess inflammation in the body leads to a production of cortisone. This is a natural steroid hormone. And our hormone cortisol is converted into cortisone, the steroid version of it. So when this shift occurs, you can feel very fatigued, because basically cortisol is your kind of get up and go hormone, and it's your wake up hormone. So if somebody is feeling very fatigued and they have a lot of inflammation, it's because their cortisol is being converted into cortisone. And I suppose the problem with this is that everyone knows that steroids promote weight gain, and we don't want them around. So we want to reduce inflammation in the body as much as we can, because obviously it's going to make us really tired if the cortisol is being converted into cortisone. And also steroids naturally promote weight gain. So beneficial flora are a good way to prevent this from happening. Okay, so number 7, beneficial flora help to reduce stress. I think this is such a lovely one. I thought this was amazing when I was in college. So we have a strong gut-brain connection. You might have heard of that. And gut flora actually produce their own neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. And they help to promote higher levels of these feel-good hormones in the brain. Now, people would argue that actually the serotonin and dopamine and the neurotransmitters that you produce in your gut don't pass the blood-brain barrier, so they don't have an effect on your brain. But we have a really strong connection. We have a nerve running from our brain to our gut, and it's called the vagus nerve. And that's what really connects our gut and our brain. And what they've shown is that if your gut is actually happy, and if that's producing serotonin and dopamine, feel-good hormones, that actually your brain will produce them at the same time. So even though these neurotransmitters in your gut can't pass the blood-brain barrier, if they're being produced in your gut, like, they'll be produced in your brain as well, basically. What they found in studies as well, interestingly, is that some people like that have IBS. A lot of people with IBS actually would have suffer from anxiety or low mood, and they found that up to 90% of the patients in psychiatric hospitals have IBS, which is very interesting. And also that you can actually treat IBS with an antidepressant. So a lot of people who are low in mood notice that their IBS symptoms disappear when they take an antidepressant. So there's a really strong link there between the gut and the brain. Now, Dr. Cyan of University College Cork in Ireland is currently undertaking studies to demonstrate how anxiety and depression can be alleviated with the administration of certain microbes. So that's very interesting. And serotonin, the feel-good hormone, and the body uses that to convert into melatonin at nighttime. So healthy beneficial flora can support better sleep. And, you know, we all feel better after a good night's sleep, so that's important as well. And why would this translate into weight gain or weight loss? Well, I suppose, first of all, the stress hormones promote weight around the tummy. Stress increases appetite. It does this by increasing leptin resistance. Stress can lower the thyroid function and can flatten your adrenals. So the thyroid is your gland, your master gland of your metabolism. So if you're stressed out, you can put on weight from that. And of course, anybody who's stressed out all knows that we feel better when we're comfort eating. So that's another way how your gut flora can actually help reduce weight loss if you optimize your gut flora. And an interesting fact is that kefir actually comes from the word kef, which means to feel good. And it was called kefir because of the lift in mood that people experienced after they began to drink it. I thought that was a kind of interesting fact. Number 8, probiotics have been shown to increase insulin sensitivity. Various studies show this. This might mean a lot to everyone watching this, so I'll try to explain as best I can. When we have increased sensitivity to insulin, it means that we produce less for the same effect. And basically, insulin signals the body to store fat. So we want to make sure that we produce as little as possible. And probiotics have been shown to help us do this. So the opposite to insulin sensitivity will be insulin resistance. And this is linked to kind of health disorders like diabetes, metabolic syndrome, fat around the middle, and heart disease. So basically, I suppose if you understand what insulin resistance is and you want to move away from this, and the opposite to this is insulin sensitivity. So your gut flora and probiotics have been shown to increase insulin sensitivity. So I have a study here. It was carried out in Loughborough University and found that supplementing young adults with 2 Yakults alongside a high-fat and excess calorie diet helped to preserve their glycemic control. So a high-fat diet and excess calories is one way to really decrease your insulin sensitivity and push yourself into insulin resistance. So and that usually occurs at approximately 27% after you have a meal that will be like that your insulin sensitivity would drop. But they found by administrating the 2 Yakults alongside the meal that it actually helped the participants maintain glycemic control. There's another little interesting study for you. So it improves insulin sensitivity. Now, okay, so cravings. This is an interesting one, right? The bacteria in your gut are able to send us out signals so that we will consume the food that they want to eat. Probably the most evidence of this is with Candida, where you'd really have strong cravings for sugar. And it's one of the reasons I think when people start drinking kefir that they really feel that their cravings are much lower, because it helps kind of supplement the good bacteria in your system. And of course, as well, kefir is very strong anti-candida effects as well, so it can flush candida out of your system as well. Okay, so there are the 9 ways that your gut bacteria can promote weight gain. So what should you do? Reduce your processed foods, sugar and bread. Increase foods that support the growth of your beneficial flora. So we named a few of them, like your nuts and your seeds, your whole grains, your fresh fruit and vegetables. Try to go for organic where possible and eat raw foods as much as possible, like salads and things like that. Increase your cruciferous vegetables, lightly steamed is the best way to have those. And include fermented foods in your diet as much as possible. These are traditional foods that we would have been consuming every day as part of a traditional diet that we just don't get anymore. And our environment is so sterile at the moment that we actually need these fermented foods more than ever now at the moment. And it's important as well because fermented foods really boost your immunity, and that's the best way to avoid antibiotics. And of course, don't over-sterilize your environment. Looking after your immune system is really, really important. And when it comes to healthy gut flora, really diversity is key. So you can take your probiotics in your health food store, and you can take the fermented foods as well. But what they found in studies is that, it was actually done on pigs, these studies were, that when they gave pigs, they fed the pigs like all different types of probiotics, and then they dissected the pigs afterwards to see, actually test the pigs' stomachs and intestines to see if any of the probiotics had reached their intestines or where they were needed. So only the live liquid probiotics reached to where they were meant to, and some of the best brand probiotics failed the test. But what the companies were saying, they were going mad. They were saying, like, look, the studies for pigs cannot translate into like humans, because like we have such sensitive stomachs now, whereas a pig could eat like, you know, a month-old chicken breast and it would be fine. Nothing would happen to it because they have really strong stomachs, they have really strong stomach acid. But what they've shown from the results is that actually the liquid probiotics are really strong at surviving stomach acid, more so than the freeze-dried ones. And it's good to have a combination of both really in the diet, because for the diversity. But one of the most diverse fermented foods you can get is kefir, because it can contain anywhere between 40 to 60 different strains of bacteria. And when tested, 1 teaspoon of kefir is almost equivalent to some of the probiotics capsules. So 1 capsule equals 1 teaspoon. So if you were drinking, like say, for example, a yogurt size of kefir a day, which is 100 ml, It would be like nearly having a full box of probiotics every day. Like, it's amazing for your health. People get such benefits from it. And when you're thinking about looking after your immune system, just to touch on that, I mentioned vitamin D. Now, vitamin D is become really popular at the moment, and people are just taking it in mega doses. But what's important is when you're taking the fat-soluble vitamins, you need to take them together. So the fat-soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K, and they all work really synergistically. So vitamin D on its own, really, I don't recommend people go swallowing really high doses of it. So what's a lovely supplement is cod liver oil, because it contains vitamin D and it contains vitamin A. And vitamin A is really important for your immune system and the health of your eyes and your lungs and anything with mucous membranes. And if you take really high doses of vitamin D, you can actually run your vitamin A levels down. So you should be taking two of them together. So cod liver oil, and my favorite one is the Nordic Naturals brand. I really like that brand. And where can you get vitamin K? So vitamin K is found in raw dairy. So if you have unpasteurized cheese, it'll be very high in vitamin K. Unpasteurized milk, or if you're making kefir, and that's really high, because the good bacteria in these products is what produces the vitamin K. Vitamin K is really important. It acts as a signaling molecule. So basically, when you take calcium into your body, vitamin K signals it to go into your teeth and bones. Now, the issue with calcium is that it can also go into your soft tissues and cause hardening of the arteries. So that means that it's going into your tissues, it's not going into your bones. That's why kefir, actually, something like kefir is amazing for your teeth health, but it's also really protective for your cardiovascular system as well. So you're getting your A, if you're taking cod liver oil, you'll be getting your A, D, and if you're taking kefir, you're going to be getting your K. So what about E? Well, my favorite place to get your E is from avocados. I think they're a really fresh source to get a vitamin E, a non-oxidized source as well, because vitamin E would be kind of like an unstable vitamin. So sometimes when you supplement with it, you might be doing more harm than good. So avocados is a great way to get it. And if you don't like avocados, they're actually really, really nice in a smoothie. You can't taste them, and it makes the smoothie really, really creamy. Now, one other mineral that's really good for insulin sensitivity, anxiety, hormone imbalance, and also it helps to activate vitamin D is magnesium. So if you have issues with low vitamin D, I would always recommend taking magnesium alongside it. My favorite way to get magnesium into the body is transdermally, which means through the skin. Over there. Oh, no. So yeah, through the skin, transdermally, like in an Epsom salt bath, or you can get sprays as well, but they kind of tingle. So what's recommended to optimize your magnesium levels will be to take 2 Epsom salt baths a week, stay in the bath for 20 minutes, and have 1 to 2 cups of Epsom salts in the bath. I bought myself a box of Epsom salts the other day. It's absolutely massive, and it was only €12. Like, it'll do me for the year, I'd say. But that's a lovely way to get magnesium into your system, and it's a cheap way as well. And it's going to help your body use vitamin D, and what vitamin D then does is help you absorb your calcium properly. And then if you have your vitamin K as well, it tells the calcium where to go. So it's all about kind of synergy. So you want to get all your fat-soluble vitamins together and make sure you have a bit of magnesium as well. That's going to help the vitamin D to work. There are just a few little tips, because a lot of people are going into the health food shops now and getting mega doses of vitamin D, and I know I'm recommending it, so I don't want you to go out and do that. In the Nordic Naturals cod liver oil, there's 1,000 IUs of vitamin D, and that's plenty, because when you take it with the vitamin A, it helps you absorb it much easier. So I just wanted to quickly mention my 21-day kefir detox. This program was designed to help people with bloating, hormonal imbalance, and problems losing weight. There's over 70 hormone balancing recipes, all based around the principles I have covered. You get your kefir as well included in the price. They're all gluten-free, paleo, and thyroid supportive. And you get everything you need to know about the kefir, looking after it, recipes to use it, and demonstration videos if you're interested in starting to use it. This is just a snapshot of the recipe and guidelines section. There's Facebook group, that's the detox guidelines that just goes through over what the detox entails. There's a shopping list, there's a blank meal planner, and there's an instruction ebook on the kefir, there's videos on kefir, there's different superfood smoothies, there's breakfast ideas, no need for bread lunch ideas, low carb soup recipes that will be very much based on all of those veggies to help you detox and boost your bacteria level, dinners, vegetable side dishes, snacks and treats. That's just basically what's included in the detox. Will kefir suit everyone? So kefir isn't suitable for anyone undergoing chemotherapy or anyone going through strong immune suppressive treatment, just in case, don't want to disappoint anybody. If anybody's on that, it won't suit those kind of medications. They're the only ones that are contraindicated though. But of course, if you're ever worried, it's always good to mention it to your doctor as well, because it is a live bacteria. So if you're interested in finding out what others have to say about the detox, I have loads of kind of testimonials on my website on niamhbrookenutrition.com/probiotic.detox. And this is how much it costs. So it's usually €99, and I wanted to do an offer for my webinar. So it's 75, and it can be paid in 3 installments of €25. So I've made it like super affordable for anyone who wants to do it. And it's on my website under the 21-day kefir detox. If anybody has any questions now, I'm going to shoot over to the question section. Now, I'll leave that up actually for a minute. Okay. Oh, Jean Lieli. Oh, hi, Jean. I just wanted to quickly tell everyone as well that I have a workshop on Wednesday at 7:30. It's on the 5th of October in Amara Yoga and Wellbeing. What does kefir taste like? Okay, basically kefir tastes like a kind of a bitter yogurt drink. But if you put it into a smoothie, you can't taste it at all. Plus, you can also flavor it. So I sometimes just flavor mine with a bit of cinnamon or some vanilla paste. Or actually, what's really, really nice is I slice up some orange, and I put in a bit of maca as well, and I leave that sitting, and because it grows outside the fridge, so I put it back into the fridge then, and the flavor infuses, and it's really nice then. But you can't taste it in a smoothie. Some people like the taste of it, but it's quite bitter. Anything bitter is really good for your digestive system. I always tell people to think about if you put a lemon into your mouth and how it stimulates your taste buds and your saliva glands. All of your digestive enzymes are stimulated by a bitter response. So it really helps like contract the gallbladder and squeeze out the pancreatic enzymes and help you to digest your foods really well. So it's really good for your liver and all your digestive enzymes as well. Yeah, so actually before I got distracted by questions, I was just saying about my workshop. You can find it on my website underneath my upcoming workshop section. It's all it's basically going to be a demonstration on kefir, and anyone who attends is going to get some free kefir. And there's an early bird offer on that as well at the moment on my website if anybody would like to sign up to that. So is there any other questions this evening? I hope you enjoyed that webinar. It was my first webinar, so hopefully there'll be more to come during the year with more information. If you're watching this on the replay and you can't ask a question, just shoot me an email. I don't mind. You can get me on my Facebook page, or you can find me on my website at niamhbrookenutrition.com. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off now. I just want to say thanks to everyone for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Bye.